Have you told your friends that you see ghosts?
Oh, absolutely not.
Gina Rodriguez returns in Not Dead Yet.
I'm back, baby!
Who is up?
Oh, she's the obituary writer.
And Brad Garrett joins the brilliant ensemble cast.
Titan, Maverick, Titan of all Mavericks. These are all words used to describe me.
Not Dead Yet. Season premiere. Tonight, 8:30, 7:30 Central on ABC. And stream on Hulu.
Hey everybody, I'm not going to do a silly intro for this. Instead, what I'm going to tell you is that Patchwork, before we talk about it on the show, is a very good movie, but it's also a fairly new movie. So this is going to be kind of like when we talked about Final Girls, where our suggestion is this thing is available on Netflix. Go watch it before you listen to this episode, because we're going to talk about this in depth. This movie is super fun. It's a nice, like, Bride of Reanimator, Frankenhooker type throwback. Go watch it and then listen to the episode. All right, guys, let's talk about Patchwork. Scott, you picked this bad boy.
Yeah, well,
you were nervous to pick it.
I was nervous to pick it. One, because of the age. It's only from 2015, right?
Yeah.
And then also because you and I had both seen it.
Yeah.
And I think we both, well, you would suggest that I watch it.
Yeah.
And I remember enjoying it the first time, and then I was like, but I don't know if we can get a good episode out of it, because it's kind of derivative of like Brad Reanimator and Frankenhooker, very obviously. So I don't know. I just was. I think I asked like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like you and I had a conversation about it. I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I hope that it was the right decision, because I enjoyed watching it a second time. I like the movie.
Yeah.
I like it better the second time, because I think that it's
less upsetting the second time for me.
Yeah.
I feel like I was as much as I was having fun, like the concept is something that really kind of upset me, like throughout. And
what part of the concept? Can you explain
like,
that?
There's like certain things that just kind of bother me, and like I guess the whole idea of like waking up and you're stitched together with other people, but you're still conscious, and like as much as this is a comedy film, like that's a very upsetting thing to think about. So like because I remember, I think I talked about on the Frankenhooker episode that the ending of Frankenhooker used to really upset me when he would wake up and he was like attached to a body.
Wait, does he have boobs at the end of that?
He's like a full woman's body and then his head.
Yeah.
But like, I've always, I think even as a kid, like Mars Attacks, the scene that fucked me up in Mars Attacks was Sarah Jessica Parker's head being placed on a dog's body. Like, there's like I have a real...
Well, what about like Invasion of the Body Snatchers with the dog with the human face?
Yeah, like stuff like that. Like
it
stuff
really
like that
you.
really, I feel like having part of you move to a different thing, but you're still fully conscious and aware of like what you used to be, is so like upsetting.
It's
to
like
me.
it's a trigger.
Yeah, like it's just like one of those things where I'm like, oh, that's so terrifying. Like,
what about
it's like,
Freaked?
See, Freaked, but he got better.
Yeah. Freaked is like Matt's favorite fucking movie.
Because he likes macaroons.
Yeah,
if he didn't like macaroons, he'd
if
still be
Freaked
in that
ended
pickle.
and he was stuck in that mutated body, I'd be like, this movie's terrible. But like everything worked out, so it's fine, except for the worm. But fuck the worm. And Ortiz the dog boy.
You mean Keanu?
Keanu. So Patchwork kicks off with a dude talking to a head. And
so
you know the tone of this movie super quick.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
so funny.
The thing is that the movie is kind of
it's listed as a comedy first on IMDb. It's listed as comedy followed by horror, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's. I feel like it's more silly, more of the time than even Frankenhooker. Like
Yeah.
Frankenhooker is very funny, but I feel like it's more a situational comedy in Frankenhooker, and this is more like punchline.
Yeah.
There are more punchlines in it. The hardest thing for me is the first part, like the first act, I guess, because there are like 8 or 9 parts to the movie. And the first part is hard because whatever her name is, the brunette who Jennifer, yeah, she is a total bitch.
Yeah, she's a very
awful.
bad person.
It's very hard
but then
to watch.
You really
that.
like her by the end of the movie, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, which is funny because a horror comedy doesn't usually have character movement and a character arc, but she actually does. All 3 of the characters really are very 3-dimensional. Even the evil one who Madeline, yeah. So.
Can you tell I watched this with subtitles? Because I know everybody.
I watched it with subtitles too, but yeah, like so the first guy really, I think that the main antagonistic doctor, he
steals the show.
Yeah, I think half of the reason why he was cast is because he looks like the dude in Frankenhooker.
He does.
Yeah.
But he is like.
But he's not deadpan.
Yeah,
that's what they play it differently, which is cool.
The last like 20 minutes of this movie where they just kind of just let that actor go loose
when they do Bride of Reanimator.
Oh my god, it's so funny. He's so funny. He has that one line where he's just like, "Oh, this is so cool." Total disclosure: this has never worked before.
yeah. But I think that it's his cadence.
It's what
his
it reminds
delivery.
me of, because we talked about it recently. He's very much like the boss in Gremlins 2, where just everything makes him so excited.
Yeah,
like all this terrible stuff's happening. He's just like, "There's 3 of you inside that brain. That's amazing!"
Yeah,
he's just like so happy all the time. And you're like, "This dude's super evil." But he's so
charming in like a fucking childish way. So I love that the second doctor that comes up while the main antagonist is talking to the decapitated head, he's just like sucking on a Capri Sun.
It's such a funny scene.
When because I know one of the doctors is the dude from Parks and Recreation that
the
steals,
neighbor. No, it's not him.
Andy's boombox.
Is that the one who is always eating?
It's the one in.
I've never watched
in
Parks
Green
and Rec.
Room too.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Green Room either.
Okay, yeah, he's
one of my favorites.
He's the big fat one.
Yeah, he's the one who's always eating.
Yeah.
That guy is really funny.
He's
really
super
funny in this movie.
He's super funny he's only in a couple episodes of Parks and Rec, but like every time he pops up, I laugh because he just plays a random angry townsperson. And the one episode was Chris Pratt's character has both of his legs broken, but he's trying to impress his girlfriend, so he's taking a bath in a kiddie pool in the backyard while listening to his newest song on the boombox. And that guy just takes the boombox and like is just slowly walking away as Chris Pratt's naked hobbling after him on 2 casted legs. And it's like just this like, you know how like those shows will just do these random cutaways that are just so funny. It's just that shot of him just slowly walking away with Chris Pratt hobbling after him. It's like...
So we're introduced to Jennifer, and she is...
Well, first we get some sweet-ass animated intro credits.
Oh, yeah.
I did like the intro credits.
I've realized I just love animated credits in
yeah,
movies.
Yeah, like, well, when we watched
Night of the
Demons has really great animated credits. We did that with the Jersey Ghouls.
I think that'll be out by now.
I'm hoping.
They said July it comes out.
Oh, yeah, then it should be right around this time. But yeah, we did that, and we just watched something else for the actual horror movie night that I can't...
But anytime I see animated credits,
fun.
I'm just like,
especially in
Idle
modern
Hands.
times. Idle Hands had kind of like
psychedelic
industrial type stuff. It wasn't Idle Hands because that was the first thing I thought too.
Yeah.
But we don't get a whole lot of intro credits anymore. So it's kind of cool to like 2015 that they're bringing it back because those are fun, and that's also nice to give you. I was kind of against them for a long time, and as we watch so many older movies for the podcast, I'm kind of like...
It's very nostalgic.
It's nostalgic, and it also is a nice way to set the tone because it has the music, and now that I'm getting more into listening for score work,
stuff,
like in the last 2 years, I'd say I've really gotten focused on how do the soundscapes work, and how do they add to it.
And think about, like, there hasn't really been... Like, just talking about horror, I can't think of a horror film in the last, like, 10 years... where the theme song is like really stuck
memorable
with me and memorable. And maybe a big part of that is like I know
because
that
you
Puppet
don't have
Master
one.
theme because I've listened to it before every Puppet Master movie
And
that
after every Puppet Master, because
and throughout the entire
Richard Band is very economical. Like, he's like, I wrote one fucking great song. We're gonna milk that shit.
Use that in every scene, Charles. So we meet Jennifer, who's like a bad person. She's a home wrecker.
Yeah, she's a horrible bitch. She and all of her friends are fake friends.
Yeah, and she's just chatting about herself to her two friends, and I was like, man, that's so uncomfortable because like.
It's really hard. That's actually the only hard part of this movie to watch for me is like how bad of a person she is.
Yeah, and her own most of her friends skip out on her birthday. She treats the waiter like garbage.
She treats Garrett like garbage.
Yeah, and Garrett's such a fun guy.
He seemed like such a cool guy.
Garrett's the type of dude that we would do a podcast with.
Yeah, so maybe he's not such a cool guy. He's just like us.
But then Jen...
I called you guys cool earlier this morning.
Yeah, that was very
I called
touching.
you the cool Kelly brothers, and you guys were like, oh.
Yeah, compared to the other Kelly brothers that don't exist.
I think I said cool Kelly siblings.
Whatever. You've never met the other ones.
I'm going to keep it that way so that I don't have to go back on my word.
So, Jen goes home after having a really shitty birthday party at the bar and is attacked and then wakes up as some weird Frankenstein body with two other voices / people inside of her head.
Yeah.
And then we meet an owl cat.
Release the owl cat!
Such an unnecessary scene.
Yeah, that
probably
joke is
so
fucking...
much money to do the claymation of that thing flying.
I don't know.
The budget was pretty low in this.
Yeah,
I bet.
but they didn't spend a whole lot of money anything else. So
that's
who
true.
cares? But
I disagree, man. The makeup effects
is great.
Really great.
Okay, so
it's so gross when she's getting up. It's so like there's just like dried blood. Everywhere.
Okay, when she gets so up gross. And it's a close up of her back and it sticks. To like the blood sticks her to the board or like the sheet. That I actually have a note about that. I'm like, oh, it's so gross and awesome. Which they did, and this movie doesn't look like low budget. I'm just saying that they didn't have like any special effects. Yeah, everything's practical. Everything is within. I mean, maybe they had some CGI blood just to add a little, but it's not much.
That's,
like nothing.
Supposedly, that's cheaper than doing, and like 1,000 times safer than squibs these days because you're putting an explosive onto a human being.
Right, but there aren't like a lot of bullets in this.
No, it's a very low budget movie.
This is very Ash versus Evil Dead with the gore.
Yeah, no, and it's super gross. Here's a question though. Why is the body like so stitched up? Like, couldn't you just use a single person's torso?
Don't get into the logistics of it.
Because I was thinking that just dawned on me. I'm like, okay, I get like the arm. She wants like it's very much like May. If we were going,
oh god, I want to talk about not this October, but next October 2019. That's my October pick.
You know what? In my head, I thought that you would pick it for the month of May.
Well, I think I did first see it in the month of May. Oh, actually, I think I might. Hey, you might want to cut this, but it's gonna be May.
But yeah, so we get introduced to.
I love the way that they talk about where when they are discussing shit in their brain,
how it's like moving the hands and stuff.
Yeah, but I love how she's there. The three of them will be somewhere and they'll be talking and they'll be in their clothes from when they died. Yeah. And then somebody will be like, "Are you talking to yourself?"
Yeah.
It's a running joke that just works so well.
The scene with the roommate's amazing. She's like, "I am living with a crazy person." And you just hear like
get my own place.
This full conversation in the room. Oh, it's so funny.
And I love that when they start to get to know each other and she's like, I did cheer, and I did this, and I did this.
I'm trying to see. What is that? Your friend?
Is that your friend?
I don't think so, but they've been driving up and down the block.
All right, well,
if we get murdered, it'll be on the air, and that'll be great.
Wow, the stunning conclusion to Horror Movie Night, episode 163, whatever this is.
Well, she's like, I can hula hoop really well.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I wanted to talk about it. I believe the woman who plays Jen is the one who actually plays the body. Like she's the
She won an award for this performance.
I was going to ask. Yeah. She deserves one because she's great. She's got that physical comedy. She also has the kind of like the Ash Williams fighting herself.
So good.
And I don't think they did that with any in-camera work or anything like that. I think they just did did her doing takes, and she dominates this film. She's in every scene except for maybe 3.
Yeah, she's super good in this movie.
Yeah,
and it makes you like the character, even though she's
so horrible at the beginning, and then you love her. Yeah.
And I mean, the blonde girl. When
Ellie is so. I actually think that her backstory is the best.
It's very upsetting to me. Like because
it's the saddest. Yeah,
because I watch it and I wrote Ellie's night out is sad, and like in my mind, I just kind of felt like
it's just a funny note.
Yeah,
Ellie's night out is sad.
But like it's just like one of those things where like I watch that scene and I'm like, it sucks because Ellie's the kind of person that I feel like I've met. Like I've met.
Yeah, when you look in the mirror.
Yeah, like
because that's how I am.
No, but like you know what I mean.
So
like,
you like to wear pink and you did cheer and dance and
but
tap.
You know what I mean. Like
wasn't accepted,
there's a lot of girls that I know from high school and from college who like at their core are really good, kind people, but like they just never found where they fit in, so they do become like the bar girl.
Yeah,
like that people
bar
know,
star, the
yeah,
bar
the bar
star,
star. And it's
her.
like I know like 3 or 4 bar stars where I'm like, you deserve more than this. Like,
well, and that's I didn't actually do any research on this. Was it written by a woman?
No, I think it was written by the director, the guy who did Tragedy Girls.
Okay,
after
well,
this.
He did Patchwork first.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that explains a lot. That why I like.
And
Tragedy
Jennifer's
Girls, but...
in Tragedy Girls apparently. The
Huh,
actress who
I'll have to rewatch
I saw
it.
that on her IMDb credits. I'm like, oh,
but,
cool.
So this movie, I asked that because it feels like a woman would have written it because it really kind of encapsulates that feeling of female.
I'm going to double check just before I state with complete certainty.
But it really feels like that female sadness and feeling of alone, like loneliness, female loneliness, where like men get it, and it's been talked about ad nauseum, where men don't know how to interact with other men because it's about machismo and toxic masculinity. But there's an equally and more shady side where a lot of women don't know how to interact with other women because it feels like the exact mirror opposite, where they're all competing for men or for jobs or for notoriety or. I love Patchwork for that because it feels so genuine when they're getting to know each other, and they're like, because none of them had female friends.
Yeah,
none of them really had friends, but like they're and then
they don't have good friends.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then but then
Ellie's
they bond.
got Doug and other Doug.
Man, that scene when she goes back to the frat house really just solidifies how badly we need to do Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 for the podcast.
So the scene with Doug and other Doug, all it made me think of was, do you remember the movie The Rules of Attraction?
Yeah.
All I could think of was the opening of Rules of Attraction where she wakes up and they're like filming her having sex with the drunk frat guy. And I'm like, oh, they did this a lot lighter than they did in Rules of Attraction. But it's the same scene.
But it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's just done
because it's
funny.
so uncomfortable.
Well, just to be clear, Brian is referring to Patchwork.
Yeah, not the scene in Rules of Attraction.
Nothing in Rules of Attraction is fucking funny. That movie is dark as hell.
But I loved that movie.
Yeah, and if you ignored our warnings and are listening to it before watching it, there's like 4 guys that get introduced like back to back to back. Like she's making out with him, and then it's like, who's that? And they're like, oh, that's just blah blah blah. And then they start going back, and then it just keeps adding men. Like it's such
and he's like, yeah, he's a really good dude.
Yeah. And then she gets hit by a bus.
Yes.
Or a truck, van, whatever.
A van.
Dude, she...
Yeah, I think that Ellie might be my favorite character in the movie. Like, Jen is great because she does such great work, but Ellie's character is just so charming and sweet, and she's just great. Like, she is so bubbly, even though she's got such a shitty hand dealt to her throughout the whole movie. And she's kind of like the glue of the girls, you know. I mean, I love it.
Well, and then so you have that, and then they go to Garrett.
But that's what I wanted to talk about was when she's in the bar and it's like part 3 Ellie or whatever.
Yeah.
There's some really good cinematography in this movie because there's a part where she's looking in the mirror and it's like split her face multiple times, and she's like trying to say hey or trying to smile, and she's like testing it out. But it's, her face is cut in half. Yeah. And I love that. Well, it's not foreshadowing. It's kind of just like foreshadowing.
Well, I love
for her.
that Ellie's in the bar during the Jennifer scene.
They're all there.
Yeah. Like, I like that.
I love with the whole denouement of Madeline, like, finding. She was like, okay, I want them.
Yeah.
Oh,
and we'll
spoiler alert!
Because there's some good lines there. So there's two scenes I want to talk about real quick. The first one is they go to Garrett's house. And that's when he takes her out to dinner, and she's eating like a salad with pasta on top and whipped cream that she's having spoons of.
Yeah, and it looks really gross.
It looks
she's eating like a strip steak.
The reveal of Madeline is so good. Like that scene where she's just sitting at the bar flirting with the one guy, and then it just cuts to him tied up in the closet, and she's just laughing while eating some ice cream.
Yeah,
I got to check on my dog and just the opening the freezer with the the body parts in it. And I actually at first I was like, where are they going to go with this? And when the movie was over, the one thing I can say, because I still don't know if I like this movie or don't.
I feel like that's how everyone feels on their first viewing.
But
I liked it immediately.
I think that it's timed great. Like when you find out that she's a serial killer, and you're just kind of sitting there waiting for it before they find out.
Right, yeah.
I thought everything was timed very, very well in this movie.
And the thing is that this movie went further than Reanimator, Bride of Reanimator, Frankenhooker. I think that those movies are great. I fucking love all three of those movies. I think that Patchwork does the thing that I really like about horror movies, where it very early on exhausts the original concept, and then it keeps going, and you're like, how are they going to make this an hour-and-a-half movie? And they do it well, by having her exact revenge. And so she goes. I love the sex scene between her and Garrett. Because
his hand her hand.
Well, the best part is like the thing that makes me cringe the most in this movie is that she's putting her like gross finger in his mouth. He's like, oh, and then she's like banging the shit out of him because she's got to be on top. And then her like arm falls off. He's like, oh, but then this is what I think about both times I watched it. I'm like, did they stop to reattach her arm? Because
or just kept going.
I think that they probably kept going, but after they're done having sex,
she has her arm again.
It's her. It's Jen. Because the other two girls, it's actually the actress out of makeup. Because it's almost like it's how Garrett sees her. Yeah. Which I think is very cool. But I wonder because she's got her arm back. I'm like, did they stop? And also, how did that work? Because did he like redo the sinews? It was halfway down the arm. You'd have to reattach bone, or
they had nature's glue.
The only thing, Jesus Christ, the only thing that we skipped that note wise is I do love that the murderous rampage is set to like an indie rock score.
Oh,
like,
no!
So cool.
That wasn't that. Was that all? Did we miss that part?
That was right before.
I thought that was right after.
She has sex celebrating the successful.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I love when she goes to the frat party or the frat house. It says slut conference. Are you here for the conference? Slut conference. Yeah, and I just love how she's bopping along, beating the fuck out of these dudes, and she's a very great physical comedy actress.
And the off-screen humor in that scene is so funny. Just how every time someone leaves, it just gets a shorter time before you hear them get the shit kicked out of them.
Yeah.
Dude, you go check it out. Shit.
Oh God. And so we do the Madeline backstory like right after this whole scene, because you have the sex scene, and then we finally see what's going on in Madeline's life with her meeting with the doctor. They do the second part of her story. Yeah. And there's a line that is so fucking funny, because this is when we really get to appreciate the doctor more, is like when he's sitting there doing the interview and he's showing her all the cadavers that he has, and he's like, most of these organs are good. They're pretty meth-free-ish.
What's your policy on
like supplying your own?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
God.
he's like, oh, they're so fresh, and he like licks his finger and like touches one of them or something like that.
The other quote that I have written down from him is when she shows up and he goes, "Yes, I did it in your fucking face, Dad." Yeah. He's so unhinged. But so they lock up Garrett because they're like, we're gonna go kill this doctor. And that's when they figure out that Madeline did this to them, because she's stopping them from killing the doctor.
We need him to make us perfect.
And I guess Madeline's... So here's where I'm torn. I assume that Madeline's plan is to get rid of Ellie and Jennifer. So
No,
has
she
full
liked
control,
them.
But she likes them, right?
Yeah,
So-
no, she just meant that they weren't finished. Like, they needed to not have scars.
Okay, that's what she meant.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where I was curious about, because I'm like, I feel like she's kind of just digging being in that weird Frankenstein body.
No, she wants to be perfect.
Yeah, but that scene, then they lobotomize her.
Yes,
And
I love it when, first of all, you get this. It's a very Ash vs. Evil Dead like screwdriver to the fucking soft palate, which was a great way to visually show it. And then they're like, "All right, let's kill this fucker. All in favor, say aye, aye." Oh,
Blood just spilling out of her mouth. Oh god, it's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they have that scene. Then like Garrett escapes. And I don't know what his plan is. Because
the best part about that, though, is the fake TV show he's watching. Like, I'm coming for you, Mr. President, or something like that.
He's just watching it. Oh, man.
But
it sucks that we're on a podcast because the visual and that scene of him watching and looking at his handcuff is so funny.
But, like, I don't understand what his plan is, because at first I'm like, okay, so he's just stalling so that he can, like, turn around and punch this doctor. And then he just turns his back on the doctor and lets the doctor knock him out. And I'm like, well, what the fuck was your plan then exactly,
Yeah,
Garrett?
I don't know if he knew that... I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention the second time in that part because I knew it was coming. And I was like, I don't like these jokes. And so I kind of like zoned out for a minute and I checked to see what I had.
He's asking really dumb questions. And I'm like, he has to be stalling. Like everything, even watching it the second time, I forgot that he gets caught. And I'm like, this is so dumb. But while that whole scene's happening, he it's a total Reanimator sequence where he's just like, release my beauty.
Release the... Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll meet all of your... Oh, wow.
Brothers and
sisters.
sisters.
Yeah, but then you don't really see them, which is kind of sad. I guess they probably got to the...
chop them to bits with a saw, and then he just walks in, there's just body parts
and
everywhere.
The funniest thing about that scene is that he just grabs some intestines and is like, no. I feel like, wouldn't you grab something more animate, like an arm or a face?
Well,
no,
then I like
guts.
that they're having the whole war where they like poke out the eye, and he's like, I think I have a backup of the, he's got. It's so gross. Like the whole concept is so gross. He's got these trash cans just filled with body parts.
Yeah.
Oh, this is such a Scott movie because it's so gooey. And
it's
gross.
not, but I wish that they would have had like another $10,000 that we could have gotten a straight Bride of Reanimator fight at the end there with seeing more of the monsters.
Bride of Reanimator is so fucking good.
Yeah. But then, so she's about to kill him, and he's like, I wish it didn't come to this. And he hits a giant red button and goes, release the owl cat. And then it just fucking flies out the door. He's like, fuck! That's exactly how that joke needed to go.
Oh, it was so good. And then they choose not to kill him so that they can save Garrett.
Garrett like them.
And then they just have some freaky Garrett monster sex, I assume.
Yeah.
Garrett seems like way less freaked out about the situation than she did. Yeah, he was just like...
yeah. It's very Frankenhooker at the end because it's the exact same end.
Yeah, it's the exact ending of Frankenhooker. But
I think that's why they had to do it like that. I know that your problems with the movie is that it's derivative.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, I know that you really hate the end of Frankenhooker.
Because I was thinking about that, and I don't mind when she becomes the Frankenhooker, but I think it's because
that's fucking sexist, man.
Well, no, because I think when she's the Frankenhooker, she isn't aware of who she was prior. Like I think
she has a couple quick flashes. It's been a couple years, like 2 years since I've seen it.
But I think that's like the distinction for me. It's like if you wake up and you have no clue who you are from the past life,
that's horrifying.
That's fine. But if you're like super well aware of everything that you used to be and now you're this other body, like that disturbs me so bad. I don't know why. I feel like we're touching on some stuff that I didn't know existed in me.
Therapy.
Anyway,
horror movie therapy night.
You guys, anything else you guys say about Patchwork before we wrap this shit up? Hey guys, we'll be right back at that episode in just a second, but I wanted to take a couple minutes, not even a minute, less than a minute, probably about 30 to 45 seconds, I believe is the length of the instrumental that Scott recorded, that you're hearing underneath me. Scott's great. You should listen to all of his music. I just wanted to let you guys know that if you haven't already, head up over to patreon.com/HMN podcast. And if you are donating $5, you can listen to our new bonus episode, and it is on UHF. You can also listen to the back catalog of episodes. We're up to 4 Patreon bonus episodes now. We've talked about Turbo Kid and the Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension and the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man, and this month, as I've already said, UHF. Now, back to the episode. All right, so what did you guys watch this week? I'll start. I read the novelization of Krull. And
nice choice. Did you get that from Kyle?
I got that from Kyle.
Nice.
Works a lot better as a movie than a book.
I can only imagine.
Because that movie is great for its visual aesthetic, but reading about its visual aesthetic is not nearly that exciting.
Stephen King, you ain't.
Yeah, it's just one of those, like, we've got to go to this person, and now we've got to go to this person.
It's
and
a
next
fantasy
we got to go
novel.
to this. Yeah, it's like next
fantasy novels are so hard to read for me. Like, I read a lot of fantasy novels when I was in junior high. But
thank you. That's one of those things where I always feel like I'm weird because I like fantasy movies and I can't read a fantasy novel to save my life. But yeah, it's very difficult and boring to read sometimes.
Yeah, have you ever tried to read a fantasy novel?
No, I think
Okay.
I read the first half of Harry Potter.
Oh no, I don't even count that. That's
Harry Potter's fantastic.
That's YA. And I've never read a Harry Potter. I'm too old for it.
Harry Potter's weird because it starts young adult and then just evolves into an adult novel, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
No, I have the utmost respect for J.K. Rowling.
Well, I don't anymore, but she...
Oh, what did she do?
She just...
has she cashed in too much?
No, she just has this really bad habit of, like... She's doing too much fan service where it's just kind of, like, getting weird, where it's just, like... She hasn't written anything in a really long time.
Has she written Fantastic Beasts? Did she write those, or were those kind of like written by somebody else?
So no. Fantastic. It's weird. All these movies, Fantastic Beasts and stuff, she wrote fake textbooks based on the books that the kids had to read in the Harry Potter novels that you can buy. They're like 50-page little
That's really
things.
Cool.
Yeah,
if I was a novelist that had like an entire other world, I would do that shit.
Yeah, and those are fine. Like, I've read them once. I'll never reread them. The Harry Potter books I'll reread all the time.
Yeah, but they're not supposed to be...
Yeah, they're just textbooks.
They're world building.
Yeah, they're fictional textbooks. But people have been taking those textbooks and making movie adaptations based on the concepts inside of them.
Okay.
But, like, it was kind of one of those things where, like, she finished the book series, and then she was like, hey... I never mentioned in the book, but Dumbledore's gay. And it was like, okay, that's cool. Like, there's this gay representation. He's a very strong character, and that's great. And then, like, as the years go by, instead of writing books, she's like, in retrospect, I don't think that Harry should have ended up with this character, and if I could write it again, I would change. And she just, like, has all these random interviews where she's like, and I would change this, and I wouldn't do this. And it's like, shut the fuck up and let us enjoy the book that you wrote. Like, it's like this weird, like... She's editing her own novel in her head.
Well, it's that saying, like, art is never completed, just abandoned. But you need to abandon it. Like,
and that's the thing where it's just like, write a fucking book. Stop trying to change this thing that people have loved and grown to appreciate the storyline and saying, man, you know what? They shouldn't have ended up together.
Don't George Lucas the shit out of it.
And that's what she's very much like George Lucasing the Harry Potter books, and it gets frustrating. But Krull, whatever. It was worth a read, but that'll definitely be a movie one day that I put up for voting for the Patreon page.
Cool.
And I'm done.
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You go.
Okay. I watched a really, really dark movie this week. This kid gets sucked into the underworld, and he's with like a bunch of dead people, and his family's there, but they're like disowning him, and he becomes friends with a raging heroin addict. And then he like tries to find his grandfather, but he turns out that his grandfather's a fucking murderer, and the heroin addict is his grandfather. And his heroin addict is actually his grandfather, and the guy he thought was his grandfather murdered the heroin addict. And then everything ends up being okay. So Coco was a pretty good film.
Midway through it, I'm like, oh shit, he's talking about Coco.
Holy shit.
That is a very accurate explanation of Coco.
I figured that I was thinking it was going to be what's that Howie Mandel Little Monsters? I was like, are you talking Little Monsters? No.
No, I loved it, but I was like, this is a dark this is probably one of the darkest Pixar movies I've seen ever. Really dark.
Gorgeous though.
I haven't watched it yet. Thanks for the fucking spoiler alert.
I thought everyone said that. I'm sorry. I'm like late to the party, and it's on Netflix.
I'm late to the party too. Yeah. If it's on Netflix, then it's fine. So I watched 2 things that I need to talk about. Well, actually, I'm going to talk about the one. I rewatched Sleepaway Camp. It's a summer tradition. And goddamn, such a great film.
I half-assed rewatched it. I was editing videos and I put it on.
It's such a good time. Like, it's just so... I don't even know what the word is. It's just a good time. So yeah, I fucking love that movie, and it does, the kills don't get old. And did I talk about watching the doc about Sleepaway Camp with
no. Felicia Rose,
and she's so bubbly, and it was a really fun doc. It's on Netflix, or not? Yeah, it's on YouTube, and it's like 40 minutes long. It's really fun. And then the other thing I watched, which was a real mind bender, was Tetsuo, the Iron Man. It's like 1991. It's a Japanese art horror film where this guy turns into a half man, half machine thing, and it's real wacky. It's real out there. It's on Shudder, I think, is where I watched it. And yeah, Shudder. And I just watched it once to say I watched it. Yeah. I don't ever want to watch it again. It was very odd, and I said it on the group where it's like a manga version of Evil Dead 2 with a Dragon Ball Z fight scene in it and some like hentai, a little bit of sexual, like gay hentai kind of undertones. Very, very odd. Plus a little bit of Godzilla. Like kaiju type shit. So yeah, I don't know if I would suggest anybody watch it. It's an art film. It's black and white, and he gets sodomized by a pipe in one of his dreams by his girlfriend, because she has a robot penis at one point. It's
Is
something
it worth watching?
You might like it.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
I'll give it a shot.
You don't have to finish
I made
it.
you watch The Plague. I can give it a shot.
All right. Well, that was Patchwork from 2015 as selected by Scott. Starting next week, we'll be talking about your listener-submitted movies, and we're kicking it off with a pretty good one. We're going to go deep underground. We're going to grill up some bacon, and we're going to head onward in order to enjoy the movie that you guys emailed us about. I'm very excited to discuss it, full of puns like that, because I'm a little swarmy, wormy kind of guy. Don't forget to email us at hmnpodcast@gmail.com. And we are looking at 9 minutes before we go officially live on the Twitch stream, because we're recording this at Scott's house just a couple minutes beforehand. So hopefully you guys had a good time when we did that. So, you're welcome.
I had fun.
Yeah. All right. We've got 2 people already in there. So, all right, here we go.
And
they're barking at a guy who
is running in the rain.
He's running in the rain. He deserves it.
Yeah. Hey, guys, can you shut the fuck up?
That's some serial killer shit.
No, it's called determination. Try it out sometime.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.